If like
Yeah.
think about it, man, I would say this. It was surprising to me. I don't know. This might be blasphemous to say in the room, but I don't know if Wayne Wayne has never been my favorite live performer.
Yeah.
I think what he does on record is so impressive.
Mhm.
Or like when he was in his prime, I think we can admit that like some of this like the breath control is diminished a bit, these kind of things. But I don't think he's never been a great live performer. But at some point, look, I mean, the Super Bowl halftime show. I think we got to decide if we're looking for performance quality or just spectacle, because
Yeah.
Prince ain't coming through the door. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so at what point? Like, we all love Rihanna, but like a couple few years ago when she did that joint, it was just straight up like it was like she was there for the paycheck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so are we? I think we got to decide if because if it's just spectacle and it's just like let's just get somebody up there to get through the 15 minutes, then Wayne should be there, and Frida should be there,
Yeah.
and like these folks who are pivotal, like Juvenile should be up there, like
Jewish
these
definitely.
Juvie should be up
Yeah.
there, these folks who are pivotal to like PJ should be up there, like you know what I mean, like these folks who are pivotal to the John Batiste, like
Yeah.
these folks should be up there. But if it's like we want a great singular memorable performance, then sure, we all love Kendrick too, but that's just actually not what Super Bowl performances have been given more often than
Right.
not since Prince.
Yeah.
um
And your chapter on Prince performing the Super Bowl is amazing. The Beyonce chapter performing the Super Bowl and uh notes I don't know why I'm blanking out.
oh, the little devil, yeah.
Yeah, Little Devil in America. That was amazing. Yeah, I was reflecting on that when I mean I wasn't, I think what was interesting to me about what happened, I think that was the first time in a while that I saw New Orleans people have a collective expectation that they articulated in a way that I saw hope in. I was like, oh, we can, because there's so many things that we need to be collectively like critiquing or collectively setting an expectation for. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, like we can build off of this. We can
Yeah,
sort of use this momentum to make other declarations around these moments that happen
for
and who
sure.
we want to see. Because I feel like there's no shortage of these moments where we're sort of just relegated to the backdrop as we're on the cover of the magazine or the program telling people to come in, but then when you walk through the doors, we're
Ain't
not
none
there
of us.
anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think making that level, and I saw it during Essence, I saw it during so not to see during the Super Bowl. So I think to me that shows we're going in the right direction as it relates to how we are being critical of what we expect.
It's
Whether
just
Wayne
too
was the
rich
one
of
or
a
no.
yeah. I mean, Wayne's an easy kind of way in, but even if we set Wayne aside, it's too rich of a musical legacy in the
Yeah,
city to not have. I mean, come on, it's like one of the great musical cities in the entire country,
for sure.
and like we all love Kendrick for sure, but like it's too rich of a musical city.
Hopefully, I mean, prior to him dropping his last album, I was going to say hopefully he would be thinking about that in terms of how to include that and if there's other ways New Orleans voices could be present. But I don't know if like New Orleans is going to continue or the culturally is going to continue to be this trick, this critique of like because New Orleans is now there's starting to be some voices like, well, we just gonna be anti
Yeah,
homie, and I hope he doesn't double down in a way where I'm gonna just be full LA and New Orleans and not really
I feel like he might double
respond.
down.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't know. There's a real opportunity. I don't think Wayne would take a back seat. Like I don't think it's a thing where he could be like, I'll bring Wayne up on stage for a couple minutes. I feel like
Wayne not here.
Wayne ain't doing that. But I was a bit disheartened just because the musical legacy of this city, the musical legacy of Black Southern cities in particular, be it like Virginia, and New Orleans and like Muscle Shoals, like these places get relegated often, just in pure like in history, right? And so, yeah, like I don't think the Super Bowl is going to change alone would have changed that trajectory, but it is also to say there are a lot of music makers here who have shaped the music that you love and listen to,
Yeah.
and there's an opportunity to just put a bunch of them on stage, and yeah,
Yeah, that's one of my dreams is and Jazz Fest is probably one of these platforms that this happens kind of. But I feel like if one can see in one frame that what that looks like from the John Baptiste to the Lucky Days
yeah,
to the Frank Oceans to the J Electronicas to the meters to just if they can see all of that in one moment, it's crazy. It's
yeah,
like I mean, to say that it comes from a small town like this, I mean, we're a city, but technically we're a town. Like we're tiny. Um, and also to say it's connected, it's not like a hybrid of many. Yes, it's a hybrid in a way, but it's mostly a hybrid of itself. It's mostly a hybrid of this one place. And other cities can say that that exists, but it comes sometimes becomes a hybrid of other things that they're sampling from other
Right.
towns. Like New Orleans music is basically stacking on top of itself, building on top of itself in a way that at some point there's gonna be some project, some documentary, some album, some book, some photo, something that'll showcase that.
Got to be.
But
Got to be.
that is something that I'm always excited about as I think about just the people I know and love that are part of that patchwork. Um, and that's also like one of the first things when I was reading your first book, one of the things that sealed it for me was that chapter on Wipe Me Down. Like
Yeah.
I was reading it, loving it. And I'm like, yeah, this dude
Yeah.
is dope. But then when I saw that chapter on Wipe Me Down, I was like, yes, this is finally, not finally, I should say it that way, but to have the things, and I think you do this a lot with your work, like to have things that we culturally find so important and valuable, but to be looked at from a very beautiful critical eye. And I don't know if critical is the right word, but just makes the attention to details that you talked
Yeah.
about. Like to have it viewed from that way.
To give it some importance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It sort of validates it. In the same way how when I create a portrait of a person that someone might overlook,
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
it creates a certain level of validation that one might say, oh, now I see it better. And so I feel like that chapter on Wipe Me Down. If a person didn't feel it when the song comes on, I could
Yeah.
slide that chapter and be like, read it.
Yeah.
Now you know. Now you
No,
know.
you
You know
do
what I
the
mean?
same. I mean, our work, all of our work, if we're lucky to be in the position where we can do this with our work, we're just trying to elevate and affix some beauty to our own culture that we have seen, people attempt to diminish.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole, for me, like that's the whole project, the whole like idea of close attention and all this is just saying I've seen people attempt to diminish my culture and I refuse to let it happen.
Yeah. No, that's real. That's real. I think that's part of the why. That's part of the question that we're constantly, at least I know for me, that I'm navigating as a descendant of so much. And
Yeah.
we're both, I think that's also a thread. Is like we both understand, like you say, your audience is your ancestors. I think
Yeah.
there is a strong responsibility and not to create like lofty, like it's holier than thou type vibe. But I think there is a level of like, or Yassine Bey, I heard him say once, he was like, he said it in a kind of like a slight in a way, but I saw it as an affirmation. He said, I'm not going to stand on the shoulders of giants and pretend that it's my height.
Yeah.
But I feel like, no, we could stand on the shoulders of giants and pretend that it's our height.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's such a beautiful thing to be able
Yeah.
to do from the artistic, like creative lineage that we come from. Like you mentioned Toni Morrison twice. It's like you can
Oh yeah.
stand on her shoulders and pretend that
Absolutely.
you're that tall. In the same way I can do for so many folks that has impacted me. And so I think that's a part of it too. And I wouldn't have it any other way.